Government has reduced the limit for trans fats in foods. Earlier also UPSC has asked question on trans fats. Unsaturated fats are generally, not always, but mostly they are found in plant sources. Saturated fats are mostly found in meat sources. Difference between unsaturated and saturated? See, in saturated, the carbon chain is totally saturated with hydrogen atoms. But in unsaturated, the carbon chain is not totally saturated because in the carbon chain there is a double bond. So it is unsaturated. It is not completely saturated with hydrogen. Trans fats are also unsaturated fats. Trans fats are also unsaturated fats because they also have a double bond in carbon. The difference is simply that in unsaturated fats there is a cis bond. This double bond is cis bond, whereas in trans fats this double bond is trans bond. Difference between cis bond and trans bond is not important for your prelims examination. Now see, unsaturated fats, they are mainly of two types, MUFA and PUFA. MUFA is mono unsaturated fat and PUFA is polyunsaturated fats. MUFA mono. Mono means single. So there is only one double bond here. However, in PUFA there will be many, more than one double bonds in the carbon chain. So MUFA is generally found in olive oil, canola oil, avocados. PUFA is found in mostly in sunflower oil, soybean oil, fish and walnuts. Both MUFA and PUFA are important for our health. Okay, UPSC may not ask the details. It may simply ask that MUFA and PUFA are important for your health. Yes, both are beneficial. MUFA lowers the bad cholesterol and raises the good cholesterol. So it's good. However, PUFA lowers both good and bad cholesterol. Still we call it as a good cholesterol, a good fatty acid because it lowers our bad cholesterol. Now what about trans fats? See, the problem with the vegetable oils, these vegetable based oil, is that they don't have longer shelf life. Okay, so what we do is we heat these vegetable unsaturated oils, we heat them in the presence of hydrogen to do hydrogenation. After this they are called as partially hydrogenated oils, and the most popular example is Vanaspati. Why are we doing this? To increase its shelf life and so that it can be used for repeated heating. For example, in restaurants they use the same oil throughout the day. So this is mostly used by, very beneficial for the restaurant industry. But the problem is it is bad for our health. It lowers our good cholesterol and raises our bad cholesterol. We do not need it. Okay, we need MUFA and PUFA, but we don't need trans fat. Some trans fats are also found in dairy products like cow, sheep and dairy. Now this saturated fats, which are mostly found in meat, they are also found in some plant foods like coconut oil and palm oil. 2003 question: unsaturated fats are more reactive. Yes, unsaturated fats have double bond. That means new compounds can easily come there and react with it. Saturated fats do not have double bond. They are already occupied by the hydrogen atoms, so they are less reactive. So first statement is correct. Second says that unsaturated fats have only single bond. No, it is the saturated fats which have only single bond. Unsaturated fats have at least one double bond. So second statement is wrong. 2011 question: a company says that its products do not contain trans fat. What does it want to signify? So when the company says that its products does not have trans fat, it means it is saying that its products do not have hydrogenated oils like Vanaspati. Right? So first is correct. Third, it says that it is not likely to damage your cardiovascular health. That's right, because trans fats are bad for your heart. When we say that our products do not have trans fat, that means we want to say that our food products are safe, they will not damage your heart. So third is also correct. So first is correct, third is correct. Second says our food products are not made out of animal fat. No, that is not what the company wants to say. See, company here is not saying that whether our products are made from vegetable fat or animal fat. The fight here is not of vegetable or animal fat. Animal fats have some trans fat, they have some saturated fats. Okay, they may also have maybe some unsaturated fats also. Problem here is about the trans fat. Trans fats which are made through hydrogenation. That is a main concern. So fight here is not about plant versus animal. It is about unsaturated or saturated fats versus the trans fats. Also please remember that when I've written that unsaturated fats are found in plants, it does not mean that they are found only in plants or plants will only have unsaturated fats. No, we are talking about the major component, right? So there may be some plants or animals which may have all three types of fats. It is mostly about the quantity. 2004 question: fatty acids should be part of your diet. Yes, MUFA PUFA should be part of your diet. The reason is that we cannot make fatty acids ourselves. This is wrong. Think like this: animals make fatty acids, right? Man is also an animal, so man will also make fatty acid, right? So second statement is wrong. 2008 question: human body, liver has important role in fat digestion because liver produces two important fat digesting enzymes. Yes, both the statements are correct. Now suppose you don't know the answer, right? Now think in exam that it's a assertion reason question, right? None of the options are there that both are wrong. Think like this: if the first statement is wrong, that liver does not have an important role in fat digestion. If this statement is wrong, then the second statement will also be wrong. It produces two fat digesting enzyme. है ना? So therefore if first is wrong then second has to be wrong. And can you find any such option that both are wrong? No. That means at least one has to be right. Now read again the question. If any one of the statement is correct, then the second will also most probably be correct. So in this way you can take a guess that yes, both the statements will be correct, and since both are correct, reason also seems to be the correct explanation of assertion, which is also factually correct. FSSAI is a statutory body established in 2011 under the FSS Act 2006. It comes under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It is currently undertaking many schemes or campaigns like, first of all, it has put a limit on the trans fat in food. Earlier it was 5%, this year it is 3%, and next year it will be 2%. These regulations are not applicable on natural products like dairy products, meat or fish. This is just like your previous year question on the company which is marketing its products, because in natural products naturally there will be some trans fat. That is not of our concern. Our concern is the trans fat which are made in the factories through hydrogenation. A public campaign to tell the public about the dangers of trans fat. The campaign's name is Heart Attack Rewind. That if you eat trans fats, then you are more likely to get a heart attack. Any restaurant or any food product which has trans fat less than 0.2 grams per 100 gram can use this logo of trans fat free. WHO also says that in your daily energy intake, trans fat's role should be less than 1%. It has initiated a project called Replace. Under Replace, WHO encourages countries to eliminate trans fats in the public food by 2023. So eliminating trans fat does not mean eliminating the dairy or meat or fish or processing them. No, it simply means eliminating the factory made trans fat. FSSAI has also launched a Eat Right movement where people will be encouraged to reduce their intake of oil, salt and sugar, and places of worship will be encouraged to maintain more hygiene when they prepare the food or bhog. So the name of the scheme is also bhog, B-H-O-G. Repurposed used cooking oil, ruko. When you heat a oil, then the polar compounds in the oil increases. Once the limit crosses 25%, then it is highly unhealthy. Therefore, after cooking the oil, you should not use it again and again. But restaurants keep on using it again and again. Therefore, FSSAI is trying to create a mechanism where restaurants will give the used cooking oil to some company which will further use it to make biodiesel. Food Safety Index is issued by FSSAI. It ranks the states based on the food safety, like how many food testing facilities are there in the state, whether the consumers are empowered or not, etc. Food Hygiene Rating Scheme. In this, FSSAI's some companies enrolled with FSSAI will give rating to some food business owners like restaurants, and then the public can see what rating that restaurant has got. The basis here is the hygiene that restaurant is maintaining. So this is voluntary, it is not compulsory. What is QCI? QCI is Quality Council of India, established in 1997, headquarters in Delhi, set up by Ministry of Commerce with some industry associations. 2018 question. Food Safety Standards Act replaced Prevention of Food Adulteration Act. It is a fact-based question. However, if you don't know this information and you want to take a risk, then you can think like this, that the earlier act was on preventing food adulteration, right? And the new act is about food safety. So both seem to be the same thing, and they're 50 years apart. So it could be that the government has brought the new law to replace the old law. So you can take a risk that the first statement is correct. Second says that FSSAI comes under Director General of Health Services. Wrong. FSSAI comes under Health Ministry but not under DGHS. The main role of DGHS is to maintain the central government hospitals. Okay, DGHS focus is on hospitals, on government hospitals. Focus here is not on the food safety. 2016 question. It is mandatory that on every eatable item there are at least three things: the ingredients, the nutritional information like how many calories or proteins the food product has, and whether it is veg or non-veg. By eating that product, if a person can get allergy, then giving that information is voluntary. Company may or may not publish such information, but ingredients, nutrition and veg non-veg is compulsory as per FSSAI regulation. You can pick up any biscuit or namkeen packet near you and see, you will find these three things on the packet. Recently it was found that the honey in India is adulterated by most of the prominent brands. UPSC has asked a question in 2017 on food adulteration. There it was asked that whether lipstick has lead, whether brominated vegetable oils are mixed in soft drinks, whether monosodium glutamate is included in Chinese foods. These are some unwanted things, right? So you cannot learn a list. Please don't try to learn a whole list, okay? Use common sense. If you want to make something, suppose this is some curry, okay, anything you want to eat, then it will have 5 or 6 ingredients, right? Now other than these 5 or 6 ingredients, anything else that you add, that the restaurant or the company may add, that can be a food adulterant. So there can be thousands of things, there can be thousands of food adulterants, okay, in many things. So you cannot learn a whole list. Just think that, is it possible that someone would be adding lead in lipstick? Yes, it's quite possible. Is it possible that someone could be adding vegetable oil in soft drink? Yes, it could be possible, right? So you don't say that no, it cannot be added unless you are absolutely sure about it, right? So take risk in such questions and mark all the options as correct. So here the topic is about the honey, right? So honey is mostly made up of carbohydrates. 82% of honey is actually carbohydrates. In your home there may be sugar or powdered sugar, that is bura. There may be good, jaggery or honey. All these things have lots of carbohydrates. Now carbohydrates are also scientifically of different types like glucose, fructose, sucrose, etc. So in honey, 40 to 50% is fructose and 30 to 40% is glucose. So please remember, in honey the biggest component is of fructose. Some adulterants that are added to honey are sugar, golden syrup, rice syrup and water. Some people think that in winters, if some crystals are formed in the honey, that means the honey is adulterated. That is wrong. Okay, even pure honey will form crystals in extreme winter. So crystallization is not an indicator of adulteration. Some tests for purity of honey are NMR, trace marker, C3C4 and oligosaccharides sugar test. NMR spectroscopy. So it was actually NMR test that helped find the adulteration in Indian honey. NMR stands for Nuclear Magnetic Resonance Spectroscopy. All atoms have some nucleus. Around nucleus there will be some very weak magnetic field. By studying that magnetic field using spectroscopy, we are able to estimate the impurities in the honey. Honey that is sold in the Indian market, it has to go through some test, but NMR is not one of those tests. However, if you want to export honey from India, then NMR test is compulsory. What is spectroscopy? This I have already explained in some earlier class. Still I will repeat it. If you want to know what is inside this component, inside this compound, then obviously you will put some chemicals on it, and based on the chemical reaction you will say that okay, our sample has such components. Okay, but this is not very accurate. Okay, what we can do is, another method is, without touching it, without harming it, what we can do, we can shine some light on it. When you shine some light and that light gets reflected, then studying the nature of the reflected light, you can estimate that what compounds, what elements are there in the sample. Apiculture. It is a rearing of honeybees for honey or wax. Like some people take honey from the natural things that are grown on the trees, and some may use the boxes. In these boxes, honeybees will come and honey will be produced. National Beekeeping and Honey Mission was launched in 2020 for 3 years. It's a central sector scheme under Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. It aims to promote the beekeeping and sweet revolution. What is fortification? Fortification means fortifying the food with some micronutrients. See, you have got milk, right? In the cow's milk or buffalo's milk, mother dairy is adding vitamin A, right? So now your single tone milk has this plus F logo. That is, it is fortified. This plus F logo has been authorized by FSSAI for fortified foods. What you should know is the difference between traditional food fortification and biofortification. See, suppose you have grown the wheat. Now after harvesting, okay, after harvesting the wheat, during the processing, you add some nutrients. Then that is called as food fortification, just like milk. The cow or buffalo has given the milk. Now you add vitamin A in it. This is called as food fortification. However, you may also use some varieties of seed that will automatically produce wheat in such a way that it will have more nutrients. You can do this. Suppose you have 10 varieties of wheat and you try the different kinds of breeding between them, and you will make some variety which will have naturally more vitamins in it. So that is one way of biofortification. Here you don't have to add anything yourself. Another method of biofortification is gene editing. Like we had studied about the golden rice, which has more vitamin A, right? So what we are doing is we are doing some gene editing in such a way that now from those seeds, whatever plant will grow, it will naturally have more vitamins. On FSSAI website, some foods are given in which government is trying to increase the fortification. Please learn these. These are very important for your prelims examination. In wheat and rice, we can add, and some companies are adding iron, folic acid, vitamin B12. Iron, folic acid, vitamin B12. In milk and edible oil, we are adding vitamin A and vitamin D. In salt, we are adding iron and iodine. These things are not added in all the things you are seeing in the market, but government is planning to make it compulsory. Government is planning that any milk or any edible oil, any salt that you buy from the market, they will have additional compounds of these things. So is it good? Yes, it's good, because it will help in addressing micronutrient deficiency or hidden hunger. So many people, they eat a lot, but the thing that they are eating is not rich in vitamins and minerals. So they will not feel hunger, but actually they are hungry. Their body is hungry of micronutrients, but they will not feel the hunger. This is called as hidden hunger. And later on, if this sustains for many time, then it may cause different disease in your body. So adding food fortification is good thing, but there can be some side effect also, like gut inflammation. In India, most of the people have monotonous cereal diet. They eat only wheat or they eat only rice. They eat less vegetables, take less protein. So our diet is not balanced. Doctors say our diet should be balanced. Government should not go for targeting only these vitamins and minerals, because if you target only these vitamins and minerals, then it may have some negative effects on your body. It may cause gut inflammation and other disease also. Another commercial thing is that when you add these things, if you make it compulsory, then some small food processors may not be able to purchase the machines to do this food fortifications, and they may have to close down. This is fourth class of science and tech. Here we have discussed 3 pages. Remaining pages you can study yourself from the PDF. PDF is freely available on our website allinclusiveias.com. If you want to study if you want to listen the explanation of these remaining pages also, then you will have to purchase our paid course. So basically, for every class, the first few videos, the first few pages we explain for free on YouTube, and the remaining pages are explained in the paid course. To purchase this paid course, this entire paid course of science and tech, you will have to pay 250 rupees for the English video. Like this video is in English, text and my voice both are in English. In case of Hindi video, text will be in English only. In Hindi video, text will be in English, but the explanation will be a mix of Hindi and English. How to join this paid course? You can go to this website allinclusiveias.com/paid courses. You will find the details there. For example, if you want to see the videos on the mobile app, then go to the description box of this video. There you will find the link to download our mobile app from the Google Play Store or from the Apple App Store. If you are using iPhone or iPad, after downloading the app, please use organization code as MXLDF. Once the app is downloaded, please click on Store at the bottom of the screen. After clicking on Store, select the course, make the payment. After making payment, again open the store and open the course that you have purchased. If you want to see the videos on laptop, then the link is given in the description box. Click on that, register yourself, make the payment. After making payment, click on My Courses. You will be able to see the videos. Please note, make the payment only on the platform that you want to see the video. If you make payment through this method, then you won't be able to see the videos on the mobile app. If you make payment on the mobile app, then you will not be able to see the videos on the laptop. We are talking only about the paid videos because PDF is totally free. PDF is hosted on our website, that is totally free. Whenever new video comes, if you want notification, then please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon.